Welcome, everyone. Lance Scurv here, the Scurv Podcast. You know, Serena Williams and the weight loss that she has exposed to the world has created a lot of controversy. And why? Many people will say, well, that's her business. Many people will say she had health issues. But not too long ago, maybe last year and a half, I'm not sure the timeline of that, but before, she basically said that she wanted to lose weight because of cosmetic reasons. And now all of a sudden, she says it's for health reasons. Well, I don't understand it, but that's what she says, right? So who am I to repackage what she said? But I don't believe that it's for health reasons. That's just my opinion. I'm on the outside looking in. There's a whole lot that goes into the psyche of Serena Williams, and I will say of a Serena Williams. Was the sporting of blonde hair for health reasons? Was the lightening of her skin for health reasons? Is she trying to fit into a world that never accepted her, even after marrying a white man? It seems as though she's pushing hard to get away from what she truly is. And that's a direct lineage to the mother of all humanity and civilization. You see, I'll say it this way, and I'm not being angry or racist about it. We just have to talk straight about these things that happen in America and the globe, in corporate America. Was she less acceptable as she was? Is it about endorsements? Is it about self-hate? Was it really about her health? Maybe we'll never know. But this is my speculation. You see, her as a, what I would say, melanated African goddess. Goddess. I'm not saying she has supernatural powers and can blow out of her mouth and cause a hurricane or wave her hand and make it rain. Possibly that's so if we understand who we are and what we can do. But okay, I've done many videos on her down through the years. And I remember this was back in 2011 on the old channel that was taken down because, you know, I talk in a way that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. But the comments in the comment section of, I believe it was CNN online, they didn't have someone monitoring them. So it was like they were out of control. That she looks like a man, that she's ugly. Look at her. She looks like a monkey. Don't act like you forgot, white America, how you used to really vilify this woman for no reason whatsoever. Because I think she's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And I want to talk about the hypocrisy of the white male mind and some females. And this is not to exploit her body, but her body had a lot to do with it. Now, these men who called her ugly, I bet they would love to come home and see this beautiful woman waiting for them in the bed. We have women who are flat as a board. The others, not us, right? And they would love to have such a beautiful, well-rounded, eye-catching, kissable derriere. They've always been jealous of our sister's sex appeal. They used to make fun of the lips of our sisters, saying they were too big, but yet they shoot Botox in their lips to make them fuller, to make them bigger, to make them look unalien-like. Because there's nothing beautiful and sexy about a lipless woman. And what are you going to say? This is hate speech? No, this is the truth. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm stating facts about the state of America and the mindset of how they think. And we're speaking on a basic level right now. What a beautiful work of art. I'm not speaking out of lust. Look at her from head to toe, even though you don't see the toes. That is beautiful. So what would make her want to change from that to looking like this? What is wrong? I live in Africa. I live in Ghana, up in the mountains in the eastern region. And with our sisters who are natural, who love who they are, who wouldn't change who they are and what they look like, although we have a few down in the city who are brainwashed. But this is what you see all day long. Now, of course, they're covered up, but you can't hide it. And it's not just because of a but the emotions that it brings. We have a lot of these men in corporate America or just America across the board. And I'm telling you, white women, your husbands, they will laugh with you and say, oh, she's ugly. She looks like a monkey. Oh, look at the fat, ugly backside. And they're the first ones fantasizing about putting their face all up in there. That's how they are. I was in a private conversation when I worked at the correction department in Orange County, Florida, with a white man who was in the Klan. And I like to analyze the minds of people instead of saying, get away from me, you're in the Klan. I already know what it is, whether you said what it is or not. But he explained to me how he was raised, his stances on things. And after working a tour with me for a few months, he did renounce the Klan and he left it alone. Not that that was my goal, but when we first started working and he told me that a black woman is only good for him to get down on her knees and service him, if you know what I mean. And as she's on her knees, it's not to pray. But he would never, ever marry a black woman. That didn't make me mad. Please stay away from our sisters. But that's to show you the mindset that they will look at you away from the masses as a fetish. You're a sexual beast. You're larger than life. But in public, they make fun of you. But oh, if you can check the history on their computers at night, if they don't erase it, this is what you'll see. But to me, it's a higher beauty. The beauty of form, the beauty of movement, the strength, the melanin, the spiritual qualities. See, she can slap on a dress and be covered, and I will still be just as fascinated at the sanctity of the black woman. And when you're in corporate America and looking for endorsements and something sustained, you better defang yourself like a ferocious animal that used to be ferocious, but now he's in the zoo, defanged, shot up with drugs so that the little girls can take pictures with him or her. So she defanged herself. Why? Look at her face. I understand. You get a little older. We expect people to look the same facially. We get older. That's a fact. She stood in this gym and took this picture in the mirror. That's what she really looks like now. Now she's thick. She was in different weights at times. So the picture on the left, she's a little heavier, but she ran across that tennis court like she was a butterfly. She floated. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Nobody's greater than Serena and Ali in a sport that was once dominated by people other than black. Serena and her sister, who Serena was the premier one winning most, which I don't follow tennis, but when it comes to things like this, why all of a sudden did she feel she had to change? And I do feel it's more cosmetic than for health reasons. And she's seeking an acceptance in a world that will never receive her completely. Dumbing herself down and reducing her image for corporate America sponsorships and endorsements, declawed to be accepted. Because you see, we can't make white America uncomfortable. We can't have such a dominant force. It's a threat. Most men couldn't handle her if they had to physically fight. So she had to dehumanize herself, defang herself, become less threatening to the powers that be. And you think they accept her now? Look at the kind of photos that they're putting out online saying that this is Serena right now. This is her right now. She's got lighter skin. She lost all her muscle. She has blonde hair. But this says to me, we still know you're black. It's not just a matter of the big black hands, but it's obvious that you're black, melanated. And what's wrong with being melanated? It's jealousy in the world. You know that the people who look like this are 9% of the world population, but in America, they call us the minority at 13%, but so many Latino have African blood in them. The many different groups have African blood in them, but we're the world majority. People of color, melanated people are the world majority, but you're running around here in America feeling as though you're less. They got you brainwashed. They are the world minority. And this is why they do not want you to think of yourself as a global citizen. You must think of yourself confined to the borders of America while they go on about themselves doing the business of the world. This is why they love when you're part of groups that say, I ain't got nothing to do with them Africans. They don't want you to connect with your brothers and sisters worldwide because you'll be too powerful. And the expertise that you've learned under their foot, if you were to bring it to the motherland and do something there business-wise, it would be all over. But the influence, black beauty, black power, black queenship cannot be adored, admired. So we have to have her turn herself into somebody else. And this made me think of our sister, Sarah Bartman. And on landscurvx.com, I'm going to have an article about Sarah Bartman and the fascination with her as she was put out to the world as a freak show because of her physical dimensions. So, to me, there's a touch of that going on right now in the mind of Serena Williams. And she doesn't want to be looked at as the modern day Sarah Bartman. No, she doesn't want that. But there are some similarities. And that part, as well as the whole part of our melanated sisters, is beautiful. And they want you to think it's something bad. The African sisters that I see out here that don't have no makeup on, no weaves, no eyelashes, no lip gloss, no fake hair, no bleaching of the skin. The essence and soul of them is so powerful and beautiful. And again, it's not based on lust. I love being around my sisters out here. They're not trying to strip themselves of who they are, but there's a fascination with the Black woman that is jealousy. It's a lot of jealousy. Now I'm going to share part of the article that's going to be on landscurvx.com. Sarah Bartman's life tells a story that is painful, revealing, and deeply symbolic. Her body was turned into a public object, her humanity erased, and her identity stripped away in the name of entertainment, profit, and racist curiosity. She was not seen as a woman, not seen as a person, and not treated as a human. She was presented as a spectacle, a product, and a display item for a society that believed it had the right to own, label, and sell Black bodies. Her story is not just about one woman. It's about a system that built wealth by dehumanizing people. It's about how racism turned science, culture, and entertainment into tools of abuse. It shows how Black women's bodies were turned into objects of obsession, mockery, and control under the excuse of curiosity and education. Sarah Barton did not choose fame. She did not choose the stage. She did not choose to become a symbol. She was trapped inside a machine that made money from humiliation and suffering. Her body shape, especially her hips and buttocks, became the reason for her public display, and those physical traits were used to label her as something unnatural and animal-like. What happened to her was not accidental. It was planned, organized, and protected by law, business, and social power. She was marketed, transported, and displayed in spaces where people paid money to stare at her body like a museum object. Her identity was replaced with a nickname that reduced her to a stereotype and stripped her of dignity. There's a lot more to this writing, but I just wanted to say that because in Partial, I'm asking the question, did Serena subconsciously want to avoid becoming the modern day Sarah Bartman? The curiosity that I know is there, that was there for Sarah Bartman many years ago, is the same thing that they have for Serena Williams. They loved it secretly, but they had to publicly hate it. And so with her wanting to be accepted into white America, it could be nothing more than, it can't be anything more than that. That had to be it. Why would you do this to yourself? Look at her. And she says it's because of health reasons. Let me tell you something. She has a lot of muscle on her body, or at least she did before she took these drugs to strip it away. Muscle doesn't strain the body. I'm talking about natural muscle. I'm not talking about with the steroids that bodybuilders take to gain all of this muscle that does stress the heart and enlarge the heart. I'm talking about a natural African woman like Serena Williams who is in superb shape. It doesn't mean you have to have single digit numbers or percentages of body fat. No. Look, I see women like this every single day. In a little while, I'm about to go down to the market, and this is all I'll see. Women who are doing physical things, who are strong, who are healthy, who are beautiful. Look at the thing on the right. I'm sorry to call it that, but this is how some of those other women look. And they would love to look like Serena Williams. And they will, like I said, will always let you know, we know who you are. You ain't fooling us. You will never be accepted by us, because as much as you bleach your skin and wear blonde wigs or hair, or weaves, whatever it may be, you'll always get your NIGGA wake-up call from us if you get beside yourself. You see what I mean? It's so much with that. There's so much with her. And we really have to think about it. I'm going to put this photo back up. I want to share a few things from my perspective. There is something deeper than fitness, health trends, and public opinion happening when a powerful woman changes her body and the world suddenly feels entitled to explanations. Weight loss becomes more than weight loss. It becomes a story. It becomes a debate. It becomes a mirror for people's hidden beliefs about beauty, power, and worth. The controversy surrounding Serena Williams' recent 34-pound weight loss shows how fast the public turns personal choices into public property. First, it was cosmetic. Then it became about health. And suddenly the internet is trying to decide which version of the story feels more acceptable. But the real issue isn't the explanation. The real issue is why her body has always been treated like a public conversation in the first place. For years, her shape, her strength, her build, and her features were mocked, attacked, and turned into jokes. Not because of anything she did, but because her body did not fit into the narrow beauty box the world prefers as far as the European standard of so-called beauty. Standard? That kind of pressure doesn't disappear just because someone is successful. In many cases, it grows stronger. When a person reaches the highest level of achievement, the criticism doesn't stop. It doesn't change at all. But it does change form. It becomes quieter, more coded, more psychological. Instead of insults, it becomes expectations. Instead of jokes, it becomes standards. Instead of open hate, it becomes silent pressure to adjust. This is not just about one woman losing weight. No way. This is about what happens when a powerful Black woman rises in a space that was never built to welcome her, and how the world slowly teaches her that dominance alone is not enough. Acceptance must always and also be earned through appearance. How many of our Black celebrities changed the color of their skin? Wore a different texture hair, tried to change themselves, and they still never were accepted. There's a psychological cost to being constantly targeted, ridiculed, and reduced to your body. Even when the insults come from strangers hiding behind screens, the damage still reaches the mind. Repeated disrespect changes how a person sees themselves. Even when they are strong, confident, and accomplished, no human being is immune to that. When ridicule follows someone for years, as with Serena Williams, it creates a quiet inner question. Am I allowed to exist as I am? That question can slowly turn into a need to adjust, soften, reshape, and redefine the self to survive emotionally in a world that keeps rejecting what you naturally are, as is the case with so many of our Black sisters. For Serena Williams, her body was never just her body. It became a symbol. It became something people projected their fears, insecurities, and biases onto. Her strength made people uncomfortable. Her dominance challenged old power structures. Her presence disrupted a space that once felt controlled and familiar to others. When someone grows up fighting to prove they belong, the fight doesn't always end when success comes. Sometimes it shifts inward. The battle becomes about fitting instead of standing out. It becomes about blending instead of dominating. It becomes about being accepted instead of respected. There is also the emotional impact of moving into new social spaces. You see, when she married that white husband of hers, it was a whole different ballgame. You see? So we got to understand that. The message is rarely spoken directly. The pressure to adapt. When someone enters a world that has historically excluded them, see? You can be here, but not fully yourself. Over time, that message changes behavior, style, appearance, and self-presentation. Changing hair, changing skin tone, changing body shape, changing image. These are not always surface level choices. Many times they are responses to deep emotional conditioning. They are attempts to feel safe, accepted, and less targeted in spaces that have never felt emotionally secure. This is how power can coexist with insecurity. This is how dominance can coexist with vulnerability. This is how someone can be globally respected and still feel the need to change themselves to feel truly accepted. The world teaches people what kind of beauty is rewarded and what kind is resisted. It teaches which bodies are celebrated and which are tolerated. It teaches which features are praised and which are treated as problems to fix. When someone grows up being told, directly or indirectly, that their natural form is too much, too strong, too different, too intimidating, and too loud, too dominant, it creates a deep internal conflict. Strength becomes something to soften. Power becomes something to minimize. Presence becomes something to adjust. This pressure doesn't come from one comment or one moment. It comes from years of messaging, years of ridicule, years of subtle rejection, years of being framed as other. Over time, the mind starts trying to protect itself by adapting to what feels safer. That adaptation doesn't mean weakness, it means survival. I understand, even though I don't agree with it. I'll never change myself. And I applaud all the sisters out here who love themselves who they are, but I understand why many don't want to be who they are. It means trying to exist with less resistance. It means choosing peace over constant psychological warfare. It means reshaping the self to avoid constant emotional friction. The tragedy is not the change itself. The tragedy is the reason behind the change. When transformation comes from fear, rejection, or the desire to be accepted by people who never truly accepted you, it creates a quiet form of loss. Not a physical loss, but identity loss. The world praises transformation without asking why it happened. It celebrates the result without caring about the cost. It focuses on the outside without acknowledging the emotional pressure that shaped the decision. This is what makes the controversy feel hollow. People argue about motives while ignoring trauma. They debate explanations while ignoring history. They discuss weight while ignoring the psychological weight that comes from being constantly othered. At its core, this story of Serena Williams and her 34 pounds of weight loss, it isn't about weight loss. It's about pressure carried. It's about the emotional toll of being exceptional in a world that resists your existence while benefiting from your talent. And that's the case of sports across the board. It's about what happens when dominance doesn't equal belonging, when success doesn't equal acceptance, when achievement doesn't equal peace. It's about the quiet ways people change themselves to survive spaces that were never designed to hold them safely. It's about the world and how the world teaches powerful people to shrink instead of teaching itself to expand. And it's a reminder that the most dangerous battles aren't always public. Sometimes they happen silently inside the mind where no one else can see the cost. Serena Williams, what happened? It's not just about weight loss. She's an athlete. She can tough it out and lose weight. She said she would get to the scale in a certain part of her poundage and can't go any lower. I don't believe that. She has the money to do it naturally. This drug thing here that she did, extreme, if she did it naturally, she would not look like that. She looks like an old woman there. Sure, makeup can make you look different. Lighting, filters, and all of that. Those who are on Instagram understand that completely. But it's more to it than that. And the sad part is, she'll never truly be accepted. That's the thing. No matter how much she tries to explain herself away, she'll never be accepted. And I feel sorry for her, as I do the many sisters of us that see themselves as being less, when in actuality, the world has convinced you of that through media, through even our own family members, which I never had to deal with that. I was raised to be proud of who I am. And I clap my hands for all of those who are raising children to be proud and to know who they are. We are a powerful people. And it seems as though, let me just throw this in, her marriage to her white husband. This may piss you off, but I'm going to tell you this. Whenever I've seen interracial relationships, it's always where that person who is a melanated African, whether they consider themselves that or not, they're the ones that have to leave their blackness, their Africanness, their culture at the door. You can't be who you are unless you're fetishized. You see, we're often fetishized in the bedroom, but you know your place in that white world. There's always a bunch of that in there, but we don't want to admit that. And it happens with the black man and the white woman, the white woman and the black man, or the white man and the black woman. We know that, but that's the elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. Because now we have to be politically correct while still living around these conditions that shape our psyche. We have to reduce ourselves. Black men, you know it. When you're in corporate America, if you're 6'5", you better walk like you're 5'6". If you have a deep voice like Barry White, you better talk like Michael Jackson. You better not be threatening. You better not be super male, masculine and proud of it, because it's a threat. They don't want you around their women like that. They're intimidated by you. That's why you can have 10 urinals and you go into the one on the end, on the left side. And this next white man will come to the ninth one next to you, trying to peek at your package and see what you got. It happens. I can go off on another tangent about how the relations are, and I will do so in the future. And probably I overstepped my bounds in the things that I said today. But if you like what I said today, give it a thumbs up, share it. Let's talk about it. Because we're going to continue speaking about reality. And make sure to go to lancescurvx.com for all things unfiltered of what I do. Videos, articles, political illustrations. We get down over there. Because on this particular platform, we're in somebody else's house. And when you're in somebody else's house, you have to behave. If you happen to be a smoker, you can't smoke in that house. You better go outside and do it. You better be on your best behavior or they'll block you out. I'm used to it and I expect it. But support your brother by sharing and leaving a comment, whether you agree with me or not. Much love to you all. This is Lance Scurv. I'm going to continue doing what I've been doing. I've been doing this for 25 years online. And I'm looking forward to the next 25. Much love to you all. Lance Scurv out. Peace.